Hello students, welcome to this video on marketing management. I am Tirtha Prasad K, Assistant Professor in Commerce, GFGC, Channapatna. Under module number 2, we are going to cover Food Adulteration Act. We shall set the objectives of the class. We are going to understand provisions related to or provisions covered in Food Adulteration Act. We understand the role of central government in making rules. We study the scope of the act and definitions of terms given by the Food Adulteration Act. Come on students, we shall start the class on the Prevention of Food Adulteration Act 1954. Students, the use of preservatives, flavors, chemicals, etc. is very rampant nowadays. But there should be a limit to everything. Otherwise, it affects the physical and mental health of the consumers. Okay, excessive use of preservatives and chemicals can harm health of the society. It can cause serious health hazards. So this act provides protection from contamination of food or adulteration of food that may lead to health risk of consumers. This act also deals with frauds that can be done by dealers by supplying cheaper or adulterated foods. For example, mixing dalda in ghee and positioning it as a pure ghee. Okay, so that's a fraud. And selling adulterated honey. Okay, mixing jaggery in honey and then positioning it as a pure honey. So that's also a fraud. Okay, so like this frauds may happen. So this act regulates those frauds. This act deals with those frauds. It extends to the whole of India. So the act extends to the whole of India and it regulates the use of chemicals, preservatives, pesticides, flavors and other additives in food preparation. So this act especially relates to food and eatables. Okay. And as per this act, powers are given to the state governments to appoint public analysts and food inspectors who control the food supply, storage and marketing of food. Okay. So these public analysts and food inspectors control the supply, storage and marketing of food items. And food inspectors can also draw samples and dispatch them to laboratories for testing. And the central government is empowered to define the standards, okay, related to quality, control over production, distribution and sale of food, packing, labeling, licensing and controlling the food additives. Okay, additives means what you add to the food. Okay, like preservatives, some flavors. Okay, so these are called additives to make it uh, to make it uh, taste pleasantly. Okay, So adding sweeteners, okay, like that. So they are called additives. And there are some definitions given by the Act. Firstly, we shall see adulterant. Adulterant means any material which is or could be employed for the purpose of adulteration. For example, you can see in the picture, in case of paneer, koya, condensed milk and milk products, the adulterant could be starch and water, and it may cause stomach disorders. Okay, so that is the health hazard. In case of ice creams, the adulterant could be some chemicals like pepperonyl, ethyl acetate, nitrate, butylaldehyde, washing powder, etc. Okay, these are adulterants which may be added to ice creams. Health hazards could be harming lungs, kidneys and heart. Okay, so pepperonyl is used as a pesticide and ethyl acetate causes certain diseases related to heart, kidney and lungs. And in case of coffee powder, tamarind seeds may be added. I mean the powder of tamarind seeds, chicory powder, and health hazards could be diarrhea, stomach disorders, giddiness, and joint pain. Okay, so these are the adult trends and health hazards. And the next term, adulterated. An article of food shall be deemed to be adulterated. There are conditions for calling a food item to be adulterated. The first condition, if the article sold by a vendor is not of the nature, substance or quality demanded by the purchaser. Okay, so purchaser wants a particular food item to be of certain quality, nature and substance. But if it is not so, then the food item is deemed to be adulterated. It is of lower quality. Okay, it is made of cheaper substance, or it is made of bad nature or hazardous nature. Okay, and the second point, if the article contains any other substance which harms the nature, substance or quality of the product. I'm making the sentence short. Okay, so this is a raw sentence copied from the Act. If the article contains any other substance which harms the nature, substance or quality of the product. If any inferior or cheaper substance has been substituted wholly or in part, okay, so that it harms the nature, substance or quality of the product. If inferior or cheaper substance has been added or substituted wholly or in part, like adding dalda in ghee. Okay, next one, if any constituent means contents, ingredients, constituent of the article has been wholly or in part abstracted, okay, so that it injuriously harms the nature, substance or quality of the product. So if any constituent of the article, food article, has been wholly or in part abstracted. If the article has been prepared, packed or kept under insanitary conditions. Okay, so this is also included. If the product has been prepared, packed or kept under insanitary conditions, unhygienic conditions. Okay, then it harms the nature, substance or quality of the product, so it is also termed to be as adulterated. And next we move on to food authority or health authority. Okay, so food authority means the director of medical and health services or the chief officer in charge of health administration in a state. Okay, whatever may be the designation. And in case of central government, any officer empowered by the central government or the state government by notification in Gazette to exercise the powers and perform the duties of food authority under this act. Okay, the highest health authority is, as you can see in the picture on the right side, Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, Government of India. So this is the highest authority when it comes to health. Okay, so food authority may be empowered by the central government or by the state governments. Next we shall move on to local authority. Local authority means in the case of a local area, it's a municipality, the municipal board or municipal corporation, whatever name it is called, a cantonment, then the cantonment authority. If it is a notified area, then the notified area committee, okay, or any other local area, such authority as may be prescribed by the central government or the state government under this act. And local authority, okay, related to health, local health authority. In relation to a local area means the officer appointed by the central government or the state government by notification in Gazette to be in charge of health administration in such area with such designation as may be specified. Okay, so local health authority may be appointed by central government or state government with the powers for administering health in such area. And look at this picture. These two products, which are dog biscuits, have been packaged very similarly. So the color combination, the graphics, everything is so similar. Almost these two products look identical, but the brand names are different. One is Classic Wieners and the other one Classic Cheese Dogs. Okay, so this is a case of misbranding. Okay, when the consumer checks in the shop, he gets confused which one to buy. Okay, so normally he doesn't observe the brand name, so he takes cheese dogs instead of wieners. Okay, that is possible. So just looking at the package and color, he may get confused. Okay, even if these two products are placed together, the consumer gets confused which one he should take. Okay, so let us look at the definition of misbranding. An article of food shall be deemed to be misbranded if it is an imitation of another brand or another article, or posed to be a substitute of another brand or article. Okay. And it is not plainly and conspicuously labeled. Okay. It is not plainly and conspicuously labeled to indicate its true character. So it is not done in a planned manner. It is done in a similar fashion. Okay. So that the consumer cannot differentiate between the two products. And the second point, if it is falsely stated to be the product of any place or country. So place of manufacturing is mentioned as China or Japan or Taiwan, but actually it is not the place of manufacturing. Then it is called misbranding. If it is sold by a name which belongs to another article or another article of food. Okay. So using the name of another article. Okay. If it is so colored, flavored, or coated, powdered, or polished so that the article damaged is concealed. Okay. To conceal the fact that the product is damaged, they may do some coating or flavoring or coloring, powdering, etc. to conceal the damage. Then it is misbranding. Then next, if false claims are made for it upon the label or otherwise. The food article contains 300 calories, but it is mentioned only 150 calories on the package. Then it is a false claim. Okay. And it contains fat content of 32%, but only 10% is mentioned on the package. It's a false claim. It is also a case of misbranding. Next, when sold in packages which have been sealed or prepared by instance of manufacturer or producer which bear the name and address, the contents of such package are not conspicuously and correctly stated on the outside. Okay. The contents of the package, I mean the manufacturer's name and address, the dealer's name and address, etc. are not labeled in a correct manner. Okay, are not conspicuously planned. It is also a case of misbranding. And we shall have a look at the role of central government. It reviews the provisions of PFA Act, I mean the Prevention of Food Adulteration Act 1954, rules and standards in consultation with the Central Committee for Food Standards. Okay, there is a committee on food standards at the central level. It's a statutory advisory committee under the Act, and it's 9 technical subcommittees. Okay, so under the committee for food standards, there are 9 committees, 9 subcommittees. Okay, they are called technical subcommittees. And central government conducts examination for the chemists for their appointment as public analyst under the Act. So public analysts may be appointed under the Act to carry out the provisions of the Act. Okay, they work in laboratories, they prepare lab reports after testing the samples drawn from food articles. Central government also organizes training program for various functionaries under the Act. Okay, so functionaries mean people who are working for prevention of food adulteration. It also approves the state PFA rules. If the state governments make any PFA rules, it approves that. It examines and approves the labels of infant foods. Okay, so there are many brands of infant foods like Cerelac, Amul. Okay, so it examines and approves those food articles. It evaluates and monitors progress of implementation of the Act in the state or UTs by collecting periodical reports and spot visits. So central government can also make spot visits, okay, and it collects periodical reports from state governments and UTs about the progress of implementation. It liaises with national and international food quality control organizations such as Directorate of Marketing and Inspection, okay, Ministry of Food Processing Industries, which is implementing fruit products order, Codes Alimentaries, sorry, Codes Alimentarius Commission or World Trade Organization, okay. So it has a dialogue with all these food authorities, ministries, directorates, okay, related to food quality control. So these are called food quality control organizations. So central government maintains relations with national and international food quality control organizations. And it ensures the quality of food imported to India under the provisions of the Act. It creates consumer awareness. It augments the food testing laboratories. Okay, so central government defines the role of food testing laboratories. And there are certain prohibitions under this Act. There are certain activities which are banned under this Act. So firstly, prohibition of import of certain articles of food. So no person shall import into India any adulterated food, any misbranded food, or any article of food for the import of which a license is prescribed except in accordance with the conditions of the license. So for the import of certain food articles, license is required. Okay. So without license, no one is supposed to import such food articles. If the importer wants to import such food articles, then he must comply with the conditions of the license. And any article of food in contravention of any other provision of the Act or any rule made under the Act. Okay. If any other conditions are imposed, then they must be followed. And the second one, prohibitions of manufacture, sale, etc. of certain articles of food. No person shall himself or by any person on his behalf manufacture or sale or store, sell or distribute any adulterated food or any misbranded food. Okay. If it requires license for production, then he must comply with the conditions of such license. For example, some chemicals require license for production. Okay, so such chemicals are used in factories, in pharmaceuticals, medicines. Okay, so such chemicals or food articles, as the case may be, must be manufactured under the conditions of license. So such chemicals may be added to food articles also. And any article of food, the sale of which is for the time being prohibited by Food Health Authority in the interest of public or in the interest of public health. Okay, so if any food authority has banned the production of any food article in the interest of public health, then such article should not be produced and sold by any manufacturer. For example, Maggi was banned just a few years ago. Okay, but again it got license and started producing it. So if any such food article is prohibited, then the manufacturing must be stopped. Any article of food in contravention of any other provision of the Act or any rule made under the Act, and any adulterant. No one is supposed to produce any adulterant. Okay, so that definition of adulterant I have given in the previous slides. And there is another authority called food inspectors, who may be appointed by the central government or the state governments, okay, to draw or collect samples from shops selling food articles, okay, and send them for lab testing. So central government or state government may appoint food inspectors by notification in Gazette. Okay, may appoint food inspectors for such local areas as may be assigned to them by the central government or state government. One local area is assigned to each food inspector. Every food inspector shall be deemed to be a public servant. So he is deemed to be a public servant under the IPC, Indian Penal Code. And what are the powers of food inspectors? A food inspector shall have power to take samples of any article of food from any person selling such article, not necessarily hotels and restaurants, shops. Okay, you can take samples from any person, any shop, okay, selling such article, and any person who is in the course of conveying, delivering, and preparing to deliver such article to a purchaser or consignee. So the article has not yet reached the retail store. You can take samples from that also, even if it is in transit or even if it is in warehouse, go down. Okay, you can draw samples. A consignee after delivery of such article to him. Okay, you can draw samples from a consignee after delivery also, after delivery of such article to him. And food inspectors have power to send such sample for analysis to the public analyst for the local area within which such sample has been taken. Okay, so public analysts are basically the chemists working in laboratories. Okay. So with prescribed qualifications, they have been appointed by the central government or state government. With the previous approval of local health authority having jurisdiction in the local area concerned, okay, or with the previous approval of food health authority, food inspectors may prohibit the sale of any article of food in the interest of public health. Okay, so food inspectors have authority to prohibit the sale of any food article in the interest of public health, but with the previous approval of local health authority and food health authority. Okay, and there are more powers given to food inspectors. He can enter and inspect any place where the food article is manufactured, stored for sale, or stored for the manufacture of any other food article. Okay, when sample is collected from a person or a member of public, then the cost at which it is available in the market will be paid to him. If any article is intended for food, okay, if there is information about adulteration or misbranding to the food inspector, then those food articles may be kept in the safe custody of the vendor of such article. And the food inspector can break open any package in which any food article may be contained, or break open the door of any premises where any food article may be kept for sale. So this power has been given to food inspector. He can break open any package of food article or break open the door of any premises where any food article may be kept for sale. And he can take possession of any adulterant found in the possession of manufacturer or distributor or dealer. Okay, he can take possession of adulterant found in possession of manufacturer, distributor or dealer. So if these persons, manufacturer, distributor or dealer of food articles, possess any adulterants, then food inspectors can take possession of those adulterants. And the inspector can seize the books of accounts or other documents. Okay, so there is another condition. Within 30 days, he has to return the same to the person from whom they were seized, after making copies of them and certified by the person in such manner as may be prescribed. Okay, and food inspectors can exercise the powers of a police officer under the Code of Criminal Procedure 1973. So food inspectors have the same powers as a police officer under the Code of Criminal Procedure 1973. So to look at a penalty for contravention of provisions. So penalty for contravention of any provisions of the Act and the rules, order and directions. A maximum imprisonment of 1 year will be given, or a minimum fine of rupees 2000 in the first instance, an imprisonment of 6 months which may extend to 6 years, and cancellation of license or the second or subsequent offense. Okay, In the first instance, imprisonment may be 1 year or a fine, minimum fine of rupees 2000. Okay, this is for the first instance. On the second and subsequent offences, imprisonment may be 6 months, which may extend to 6 years, and cancellation of license. Okay. When consumed adulterated food is likely to cause death or injury to the body or amount to grievous hurt, can be punished according to section 320 of Indian Penal Code. There is an imprisonment of 3 years, but which may extend to the life term, and with the fine which shall not be less than 5000 rupees. Okay. If the adulterated food is consumed, if it may cause death or injury to the person, then imprisonment of 3 years, which may extend to life term, and fine, which shall not be less than 5000 rupees, will be imposed. Thank you, students. Thank you for your patient listening. Study well for the exams. All the best.